In the quest titled Drinking Sapphire Wine, you are tasked with helping Parvati confess her feelings for and to the chief of the Groundbreaker, Junlei Tennyson. By the end of the quest, Parvati discovers that Junlei is interested in her as well, and the two begin exploring the idea of engaging in a committed relationship. But does this mean that a committed relationship is a good idea? Are Parvati and Junlei a good match, or will the spark die out sooner than we'd like? Let's break that question down and see if we can arrive at an answer.
Wow, great! I'll do that then. Messages. Later. Oh, your name's pretty too. I should have said sorry.
First and foremost, I think that all successful relationships have two things: compatibility and commitment. On the compatibility front, Junlei and Parvati definitely check the box. In fact, I really don't know how I didn't notice it before. It's clear to me that Parvati has been sheltered for much of her life. She comes across as naive at times, and often demonstrates a lack of confidence that I think is a result of her not really getting out and seeing the world.
When I was in Edgewater, I dreamed of flying on a real ship, working on a real engine, belonging to a proper crew. I'm the only decent mechanic Edgewater's got, but every time I think of going back, I get this sinking feeling.
I think that Parvati needs to be with somebody who, yes, can make her feel warm and safe.
To me, the best thing was always just sharing space with somebody. Feeling safe and warm.
But challenge her to reach her fullest potential at the same time. Parvati is at a point in her life where she really needs to discover what she is capable of, and I believe that Junlei is just the woman who can make that happen. The two of them also have a lot in common. Obviously, they both like working with tools and fixing machines, but even more than that, they share similar values, like the values of family and tradition, for example.
I keep diligent records of station repairs, requisitions, and available assets, just like my grandmother taught me.
Notice how both Parvati and Junlei learn their mechanic skills from a family member that was important to them. For Parvati, it was her father, and for Junlei, it was her grandmother. Even though these individuals have passed away, both Parvati and Junlei seem eager to fill their footsteps and carry on their legacy. Parvati now runs her father's mechanic shop in Edgewater, and even though her dad has been gone for some time, she still calls it her father's office by force of habit.
My dad's... it's an office. Just my office.
We also know that Parvati still looks up to her father and thinks of him often, as evidenced by the picture that she has of him on her desk inside the Unreliable. Similarly, Junlei Tennyson now runs the mechanical wing of the Groundbreaker, something that both her mother and her grandmother did before her. We learn in a terminal down in the machinery shaft that Junlei still feels a strong connection with her grandmother. "I hate to put sentiment down in print," she writes, "but every time I open a panel or find some workaround in the guts of this old bird, it's like I can feel you reaching out to me from the past, Grandma." Junlei Tennyson's grandmother believes strongly in keeping the Groundbreaker independent from corporate power and free of the board's rule. In one terminal entry that was written just after the Groundbreaker arrived in Halcyon, Junlei's grandmother wrote, quote, "If anyone wants to dispute or compromise our independence, they will answer to Tennyson." She went on to say that even when the last Tennyson falls, Groundbreaker will remember them and defend its freedom accordingly. Years later, Junlei Tennyson took on the same mentality, writing, quote, "I can rally our spirits, but what happens when I'm not around? Groundbreaker's real test will be seeing if our independence outlasts me. I'll take that bet." This strong connection to the past is one of the more prominent values that Parvati and Junlei share, and I think that will go a long way in forming a strong yet grounded relationship. So they're compatible for sure, but what about committed? Are they both equally invested in this relationship? Well, I have every reason to believe that Parvati is invested. After all, she even said that she's been searching for a long time for somebody like Junlei Tennyson, and I don't see her losing interest anytime soon.
It's like somebody reached into my head and pulled out what I didn't know I wanted. You know how hard it is to find anybody who likes working with tools in a little town like Edgewater?
Junlei, on the other hand, I'm not too sure about. I think that she definitely likes the idea of having someone like Parvati at her side, but I can't help but worry a bit about Junlei's pre-existing commitments. She runs the Groundbreaker. She has an entire team of mechanics and engineers that look up to her. She's short-staffed, meaning that she definitely has her hands full. On her terminal in her office, we even find a full list of chores that she has to complete day in and day out. With so much work to do, part of me worries that Junlei just doesn't have the time right now to give Parvati that warm affection that she's looking for in a partner. So while Junlei probably wants to be committed, I think that she really has to think hard about whether or not she can be committed. Otherwise, she's just going to be leading Parvati on. So folks, those are my thoughts in a nutshell. On paper, Parvati and Junlei do make a great couple. They are compatible with one another, they complement one another, and they have more than enough in common to create the framework for a solid relationship. Realistically though, I wonder how much time Junlei is going to be able to set aside for Parvati. If she's overwhelmed with running the Groundbreaker, then maybe now isn't the time for Junlei to enter into a full-on, committed relationship. But what do you think? Is Junlei Tennyson a good match for Parvati? Or would Parvati be better off waiting for someone else to come along? If the two of them did form a committed relationship, do you think that it would last a long time? Or would it fizzle out relatively quick? Let me know in the comments below. I post new videos on the Outer Worlds every Wednesday and Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, so be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be alerted when I post new content. If you're so inclined, leave a like on this video too. I'd really appreciate it. I'll be back in just a few days with a brand new video on the Outer Worlds, but that's all I've got for now. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Okay. Since you run a whole space station, I was wondering if, well, maybe you could teach me some things. I could message you later, maybe?
I'd be happy to make the time, Parvati. You can ask me anything.
Wow, great! I'll do that then. Messages. Later.